Welcome to Tech Brother Damir. In this video, we are going to answer this question. What are your thoughts? Which one is better, SSIS versus ADF? So honestly, like I could have write like 20 different points here, and I kept going, but I just want to break it into some more basic type of differences, or tell you like because which one is better? That's the you can't really answer that depending on your situation. So we are going to have discuss a few things here that will help you to answer this question, and then you can leave that open platform where the person who is going to interview you, he can ask you more questions and you can reply back and all that. So I'm going to try to build your a little bit knowledge about their differences, or think in a different direction. So the first of all, I came with the background of SSIS, and let's talk about pricing. Now, most of the time, people have this SQL Server installed, and then what they have also SSIS as part of it. Now, if you are installing SSIS as part of that SQL Server, you are not really paying extra money. You're only paying for the SQL Server. So that kind of give you leverage there, right there, so you don't have to worry about money. And now this server maybe is coming on 48 cores. You are installing, I don't know, depends upon the memory. Maybe you have 96 GB RAM and all that. So depending, you have a different configuration for that server, and you have installed SQL Server, and SSIS is also part of that. So you feel like, okay, I'm not creating whole lot databases there, but I can use this mainly for SSIS. And also you can use a lot for a lot of databases, and then limit the memory of a server. Maybe you have a 256 GB RAM there, and you configure your SQL Server for the max memory right there, and then leave maybe some memory for your SSIS. So this much you can set max memory for SQL on the same machine, and then rest of that will be used for SSIS when it is running. Now, as let's say you are in that situation where you have used on-premises VM, or you have this computer which has around 48 cores, and then you have let's say 96 GB RAM, and you've been using, and you run 10 SSIS packages, and in those 10 SSIS packages, each one has 10 data flows. So in SSIS, we know that data flow uses lookup, data flow uses joins, data flow have a lot of activities that you also have those activities in the Azure Data Factory. Now, if you are using that machine, let's say you're totally using for your SSIS, I don't know how much you will be paying for license, but people who use SQL Server licensing, they can take a look. But I'm going to give you for the Azure Data Factory, and you can take it back and compare with your SQL licensing and make the call which works best for you. So now this 10 SSIS packages, I have seen the scenarios where we run actually 50 SSIS packages on daily basis on single machine, and each one have more than 10 data flows. You do a lot of fact table loading, you do dimension table loading, you do all different type of operations in these SSIS packages. Now, if we stick with this scenario, 10 SSIS packages, each one has 10 data flows, and each package run for 1 hour. And if that's the exactly scenario we create in Azure Data Factory, so I have a total 100 data flows I have to create, and in general purpose the rate is 0.2574 per week core per hour. And let's say I have 48 week cores. If I execute this all 100 data flows, and I will be paying $1,315. And if I do that for let's say for for whole year, I just multiply that. That's come out to 479,000 or $480,000. So I will be paying only for the data flows in my Azure Data Factory almost 480,000, or close to $500,000, because I need to run 100 data flows during those days, each day, and each one take 100 1 hour to run. Now if my data factory is taking more time, right? That means I'm joining inside the data flow, I'm using lookup and all that. Then I have to use the memory optimized cluster, and in that case my price is $0.343 per vCore per hour. And if I use 48 vCores and those 100 data flows run for 1 hour, and this is the price I'm gonna pay, 16 say $46. So that's the price I will pay. And if I will multiply that with my 365 days, I will be paying almost $600,000 for run only 100 data flows across the whole year. And then this each one will run 1 hour, right? Now think about that. I don't know if you pay $600,000 for your SSIS that you run for 10 SSIS packages, and each one has 10 data flows, and it take 1 hour to run each of them. Now, but with the Azure Data Factory, you are going to pay this much. So think all those scenarios, how many data flows you are going to use, how many copy activities you are going to use, and if you are, let's say you say like, oh, I don't use data flow, I use copy activities. So let's go back here, and then we are going to do some calculations with the copy activity. Now if I have 48 DIUs, and then my each DIU is 0.25. So if I use only copy activity for all those 100 different copy activities, so it's going to be $1,200 anyways. So it's not making a big difference here, if I use copy activity or I use data flow, or it's $100,000 difference here. So if I will instead of $1,300, I pay $1,200, so it's going to be at least close to $450 anyways. So you will be paying a lot of money if your pipeline runs in for a long time. If your pipeline runs for like 5-10 minutes, and that's fine. But if you have a lot of pipelines and those pipelines runs for a long time, I'm considering here we are over our runtime is you see that we have a total 10 SSIS packages, each one is 10 data flows, so and they run for 1 hour. So we are talking about 100 hours of running pipelines. So if your case, you have pipelines and all of them complete in like, let's say 10 minutes, or 20 minutes, 30 minutes, or 2 hours or 5 hours, that's fine. But if your pipelines are long running pipelines and you're loading or reading the data from multiple sources, joining them and all that, and you have a lot of pipelines, you are going to end up with this much amount, $600,000 for 100 hour of running your data flow for 365 days. Now that's again, somebody asks you like, hey, what is SSIS is better or ADF is better in terms of price? So here is the thing. If you have a small number of pipeline that you need to run, and they run in a very short time, so in that case ADF is great because you are not paying for your hardware, you are not paying for your licensing of SSIS, and you will just run your pipelines right there, on the, maybe you have 10 pipelines and each one run 10 minutes, not a big deal. So you will save tons of money. But if you have SSIS, then you will pay more money because you have to have a hardware first, then you have to have a license that. So you have to see what are your requirements and then calculate the money. So there is no answer here which one is better till you don't do the calculation, what exactly is your requirement. So you always can explain that in terms of price and all that, but always tell them I have to take a look how many pipelines are we running, how many data flows we are running, which other activities we are running, and then how many hours of runtime we need each day. So then I can calculate is SSIS better or ADF is better. Okay, now activities and transformations. In SSIS, I saw a few of the things that I can mention you here. If I go right here in the Azure Data Factory and then create a pipeline here. Now in this pipeline, you might see like I have these all different transformation. So there is no if I will go to journal here, these are mostly you are also available. Most of them you can have done in this SSIS. We don't have let's say web and webhook and all that. You can do in script task if you want to. Now there is no data break in SSIS. You can't have that one. There is a batch service. You can't really run batch service here that you available from here. Then Azure Data Explorer is not there. These are all different services which are available on the cloud. So HD, Insight is also, these are different activities that can be used to run Hive and all that. That's not there. So there are these latest great type of items that like new technology that's not there in SSIS. So if I need to read the data from S3 bucket, it's very easy in here in copy activity. I will just bring it copy activity and right there, and then I will go to sources and just go right there and Amazon S3. So that's not available in SSIS. Apache Impala is not available. Redshift is not available. So these sources are not available for me in SSIS. So these Cassandra, you see that DB2 and all that. DB2 you can read it in SSIS, but Microsoft Dynamics 360 and all that. So you see Greenplum, Microsoft, Google, AdWords. So this is totally new world. These are fancy icons, that those all different data sources. They are you can use them, and if you have these data sources from which you need to read and write to it, so this SSIS is not going to help you there. So you have to use the Azure Data Factory. So you have to study what is your requirement. So Azure Data Factory provide tons of different sources and destinations or data sources you call it, that's not available in our SSIS ETL tool. So I can literally there was some other companies they chip in and they created like a Cozy Rock and all those. They created those different connectors, and you have to pay licensing to them and then use in SSIS, and often you have trouble because they don't upgrade their versions, and you upgrade your SSIS to latest one and then you have problem. So with that one, Azure Data Factory is much better because you have everything right here, and you can read from many different type of sources and write to different destinations as well. Now in SSIS, as I said, that it's a great tool we've been using from a long time, but if it does not provide the connector to read the data from on the data source or right to the destination, we can't do much about it, right? Or you come back to the script task and write all that by yourself in C#. If you are skilled. Not, I'm not, so I'm not going to ask you to write that too. So that's fine. But now, what I told you here. So you have to study your activities, transformations, sync, and all those data sources. If which one is providing you flexibility to do real quick ETL jobs and also cheaper as well. So you want to price is one thing, right? On top of that, you want to see if it's doable in the tool or not. So as I showed you, a lot of things are not doable in SSIS because it's on premises, and those all data sources are on cloud, and it's hard to use them. Okay, so that brings us in this third point: high availability, patching, upgrades, issues, and all that. Now, if you remember that in SSIS, you have your server, you install SSIS, and then you forget about everything. And once, maybe in a year or something, Microsoft sends some update, with the new SP3 and or accumulate update they send you, and you install it. So life was easy with SSIS, no problem. Now with Azure Data Factory, this is only Microsoft is handling it. They're writing new transformations, so that's a good thing. If this transformation is not here, they might be coming up with the new transformation. So a couple of days ago, I was going here and I see data flow library is in preview. That means you can write a data flow function here or create a library and then use across your different data flows and all that. So this was not there. So they've been improving on all that. So that's not happening with SSIS. Like every 6 months, they're gonna send you like, oh, new two or three new transformations are added, or your sync or destination is added. That's not really happening. I've been reading a lot, over the years in Microsoft, where whenever they release the SSIS or actually SQL Server, so we read like what's new in SSIS, and comes like a handful of small improvements. So SSIS is really, doesn't come like this. This is on the fly, but there are problems that comes with it. Now if all these things come in, they have to send different updates and all that. So maybe you are running data flow today and it ran in 10 minutes, next day you run it, it take 30-40 minutes, or even just stuck in processing. Now with the old style, if it is stuck with SSIS, you are the one who is going to figure out and take care of it. And here Microsoft might have thrown some upgrades, or maybe monthly release or something like that. So in that case, you are on now you have to open the ticket with the Microsoft and say like, hey, I'm running my data flow, it's getting stuck in progress, or it is stuck in the queue, it's not running. So in that case, might Microsoft take like 5 hours, maybe take one day and say, or maybe take 2 days. I don't know. Depends like on your problem. So sometimes they might take just 10 minutes and find out like, oh, our product group team or our developer, they have pushed some change and that caused this issue. That's great. If they do in 10 minutes, then you're good to go and start running. If they don't find it, or it take them time to find their change has broken your data factory or your load, now you are there waiting for it and seeing like, oh, from last 8 hours you are not able to run the pipeline or run the data flow, because Microsoft has updated some software, or under the hood. So you need to understand here a lot of things. So you are not going to have your own server where you can go ahead and restart, and maybe if the issue is too big, the server crashes and everything, you maybe go ahead and install a new SSIS and just run your SSIS packages, and maybe move them into the file system and run them, and at least load the data in 2 hours. Here you will be depending on Microsoft, and Microsoft has to fix under the hood what they have broken, and till you can probably wait for another 2 hours, 3 or 4, till they don't find it. One good thing is that you have the support system going on. You can create the ticket, and then ticket will go to the Microsoft. They will look into the issue and they will help you out to solve it. That's a good thing. But again, as I said, that if they are not, their developers or the development teams push some changes, and now your data factory has failed from last 2 hours or 3 hours, and you're not able to find, you can't do much. So you have to think about those scenarios. How much time you can wait, and if issue happen, what are your alternatives to load your data in? So in those cases, Microsoft has I believe 99.99 SLA, but I honestly really don't agree with those kind of SLAs, because if the product is there and if the data flow start failing for next 5 hours, and you are in stock market where the report has to run, and you have to give to your employee next portfolio managers that data, and data is not there, so they cannot make transactions or they cannot make the decisions. So 5 hours you are delayed, and SLA, the Microsoft might understand like, okay, you are running a total 5,000 activities in one day, and only one data flow is failing. For you, it's whole business. For Microsoft, they are still meeting the SLA, because if you have 5,000 activities and one of them is data flow that's not running, they are not, their SLA is met. They are 99.9%, because they say like all the activities has been running, only one activity is failing. So in those scenarios, I believe it's pretty reliable product. I'm not giving you here like, hey, you are gonna have problems in these cases, but we can have problem in anywhere. Your own network can go down, your own computer can go down, and your SSIS might not be working. But these are few of the things I just want to open your eyes and give you some more education. These things can happen. So it is one of the thing. It is high availability, patching, upgrades issue. Now you are not the one who is deciding to perform these ones. Microsoft is the one who they have ability to make changes without your permission. And if your data factory suffer or your data flow suffer because of their patching or upgrade or all that, now you can't do much. They might give you some pennies back, saying like, oh, you ran 5,000 activities and one of them was data flow that did not run for 9 hours. We give you maybe $300 back. But depends again what type of business you are dealing. Can you afford to go down for 2 hour, 1 hour in cases Microsoft have a problem on their end? Now again, I can't assure you here how many hours, and I'm just giving you random numbers, so don't count me on this like, oh, Microsoft is Azure Data Factory is going to go down for 2 hours. I'm just saying that in data flow maybe it will stuck in queue, or maybe it just is kept running for a long time, it's not loading the data quickly because of some issue under the hood. So you have to just give a thought and come up with some solution in those kind of situations of what you will do. Now we have spoken about price, activities, high availability, good things, bad things. Again, Azure Data Factory also does support SSIS. So if you go right there in Azure Data Factory, you can go to the here integration runtimes and you can create your Azure SSIS. So if you are a big fan of writing SSIS packages, you can always bring the SSIS packages here and you can create your node. You can see 8 cores, 32 MB GB RAM. So you can use that much, and then you can create your VM right here. Is integration runtime that will use this much compute and run your SSIS packages. So those all SSIS packages you can call in the Azure Data Factory and then run them. So let's say if I'm going with the 8 cores and 32 GB, you can see right there there would be 2 runtime is 2 multiply per hour, so it's going to be $3.3 per hour. So I can use SSIS in the Azure Data Factory as well. So this much for per hour. If I want to go ahead and do some more calculations, so still I will be able to run the SSIS multiply 24 multiply 365. So it is around $34,000 for a whole year with this configuration. I will be paying if I need to run my SSIS packages, on the Azure Data Factory. I can do that. So, or you can go further and say, like, I want to do 64 cores, and then you have 1, 2, 3, 440 GB. So that's a really big number. Let me see if I can do 32 cores and 130, 1, 2, 3, yeah, 130 GB. Okay, so if I go with this number, so I have 32 cores and 130 GB RAM. In that case, I'm gonna go do the calculation for you. So for 24 hours and multiply 365, so you will be paying 1, 2, 3. $135,000. Okay, so this much you will be paying per year. Okay, so you can do combination of it. You can have your SSIS packages and ADF together. So nowadays the world has changed. You can't be really one thing, so you can use multiple things. You can use ADF wherever the data sources are not provided in the SSIS, and you can use SSIS where you feel that you need to use SSIS and it helps you better instead of paying more money in ADF. So remember that I was saying, like, for this data flow, let's say this data flow, if you run in ADF, you end up paying this much. But if you will have even your own SSIS node with this configuration that I just showed you, and you maybe end up with 130,000, 35,000. So still you can use SSIS packages, not a problem, but you will pay less money. And you don't have to have your own resources, you don't have to buy computer, you don't have to buy license and all that. Everything will be covered, so you can use combination of these technologies to achieve your goal and help out your company. I thank you for watching my videos. I hope we will have some discussion going on about this topic, because this is a very vast topic and there are different mindsets, so who can come up with different questions and scenarios, and explain to us and help us out to which one is better. And some as I said, that it is always for everything is not great for everybody. So some of the solutions are great for one company, not for other, and vice versa. So please write your comments, and let's have a discussion about it. And I would love to learn more scenarios where I can educate myself and help you guys as well. Please subscribe my channel, and I will see you guys in the next video.